Howdy folks, I'm Luminous Lantern, loyally lighting lively living rooms.
I'm Amber.
And here are more living rooms for us to light up. I'm not really sure. I think we are like little Christmas bulbs or something like that. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Telling a Woman Where She Can and Cannot Give Birth? This is one of the stranger things that has ever happened to me. To set the scene, I'm a 26-year-old and I bought a house that I'm living in since 2019 from this older lovely couple. I thought, as sure as anyone who has been in this situation might think, that the signing was going to be the last time that I ever say anything to them or had anything to do with their family. I was wrong. Yesterday, I got a knock on my door. I opened it to find a young couple, probably my age, maybe a bit younger. The woman was pregnant and looked like she was going to pop any day. I asked who they were and if I could help them. The woman replied that this home used to belong to her parents and that she was born in this house. I asked again what they wanted, since that didn't really tell me if they needed anything from me. She told me that her mother had also been born here in the upstairs bedroom. For context, this is now my bedroom. She then asked if I wouldn't mind letting her bring the stuff that was needed to give birth in the same spot that she and her mother were born in. I said no, keeping in mind that A, this isn't her or her parents' house anymore, and B, the bedroom in question is my bedroom. Now, I thought that this was as normal a response as was possible given the strange question, but when I was telling my friend about this afternoon, one of the girls in the friend group said that it was pretty cruel of me to tell a pregnant woman where she can and cannot give birth. I didn't think that what I had said was all that strange, considering that I had never met the couple before, and I don't exactly want a strange woman giving birth where I sleep, but my friend insisted that I could have come to some sort of arrangement. So here I am, asking you folks, am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
No, not the jerk. That sounds like a liability waiting to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And you are perfectly allowed to deny pregnant people giving birth in your private residence.
Yeah.
What if she wanted to give birth in the White House? It's not like they have to screech to a halt so a pregnant person can give birth there.
Well, I think the friend is really deeply mistaken here. OP isn't telling a pregnant woman where she can and cannot give birth. OP is saying that she cannot give birth in OP's home in their
Mm-hmm.
property. And like you said, there's a legal liability angle to this. What happens if something goes wrong? Not all pregnancies and births go smoothly.
Right. And I mean, I don't even know if this person is truly
Mm-hmm.
I based on some of the details in this post, I'm wondering if this is even like legit because it sounds like they bought this from an older couple.
Yeah.
And if by older OP means like 70s, 80s, then a woman who's 26 now, it'd be hard pressed to be the daughter of, an 80-year-old.
Yeah, and that's something that I also want to talk about is that this could be a scam, right? This could be them trying to figure out a way of robbing OP blind or something like that, right? And with the pretext of who's going to say no to a pregnant woman,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this might have been something where they're like, okay, well, we just need to be let into your house one day while you're not there, blah blah blah, and then OP comes back and they don't have any stuff anymore, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think that this is a difficult situation. I can understand why she would want to give birth in the place where her mother was born and where she was born, if this is a tradition. But that should have been talked about before the house was sold.
Right. That's kind of thing where if it's that important, you don't sell the house.
Hmm. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Not Contributing to Staff Gifts and Calling Out My Colleague for Taking Full Credit? So here's the deal. Ever since I, a 29-year-old female, started at this job, it's an office job, there's this one person, a 56-year-old female, that arranges an annual staff Christmas gift where they ask everyone to contribute $30 per person towards a gift for the top 3 executives. In the last 2 years that we've done this, the 3 people in management who've been given these gifts have come down to our office and thanked that one person, the 56-year-old female, profusely for her generosity and how sweet she was, etc., to do all this. Last year, I asked her if she gave something from just her as well, and if that's why they thanked her. She said no, but since she was the one who handed the gift basket to them and wrote the card, there were 3 others included, me, who built the actual baskets. She just insisted on doing the actual card. Then maybe they misunderstood. Note that she always does this first thing in the morning and will take the basket from our office and go up by herself, regardless if people say they would like to join her, and just say that she forgot that they wanted to come with her. Well, I checked with one of the assistants because I'm petty. The assistant told me that while the card said that it was from the staff, it did say name of the lady and the rest of the staff, and that the same thing had happened the year before. At the same time, I did not say anything and just made a note of it for this year. Now, here's where I may be a bit of a jerk. This year, this lady once again sent out an email asking everyone to contribute $30 minimum per person for these 3 people. One of the owners retired earlier in the year, but she felt that he would still really appreciate the gift. I answered the email and said, "Dear name, thank you for reaching out regarding this. I have given a lot of thought to this throughout the year and have decided to organize my own gift this year instead with a smaller amount, as it's been a tough year financially for me and many others. Perhaps you can edit last year's card and say, love from her name and the rest of the staff except my name. Thank you. Happy holidays." About 5 minutes later, after I sent the email out, she came storming over and told me that I had no right to accuse her of taking credit for the gifts and not including everyone's name. I asked her if it was untrue and that's what the card had said last year, to which she answered, that's how she's always written the card. Apparently, she's currently scrambling because a lot of the other staff members are choosing not to join her gift this year. And her friend, a 60-year-old female, has told me that it was super petty and not very much in the spirit of Christmas for me to ruin the gift to the management this year, while grumbling about how selfish I and the younger staff members are who don't want to contribute to the gift. So Reddit, am I the jerk in this situation? Edit to add some clarification. The minimum sum was $10 per gift, which is $30 in total for each staff member. Sorry if that was unclear. English is not my first language, as much as I feel fluent, haha. Also, thank you to everyone who answered so far. Definitely did not realize this was not a common practice, and as I was told that it was. And I do want to point out also that there were 30 people who gave $30 gifts to this, according to the comments. So, all right, folks, what do you think? Jerk or not the jerk?
Not the jerk. You know what's not in the Christmas spirit? Taking credit for something that other people have done.
Yeah.
And taking money from people who need it to give lavish gifts to management to try to curry their favor.
Yeah, I mean, this is really what it boils down to. It was a blatant attempt to curry favor with management and to brown nose, I mean, to put it that way. And I mean, I think that OP was right in finding out information about how she was getting extra credit and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, because like it's really sickening that this woman would demand money from everyone, take, you know, all this stuff, make other people do the work of making the gift baskets, and then just like not let anyone sign the card or anything or go with her and just, oh, this is all my doing.
Yeah, and I mean, I don't remember if this was in the original text, but it does state that in the comments that people have asked to sign the card in the past, but she just said, oh, it's too complicated. I'll just sign and get it brought up to them, right? And so it really does seem like she's basically using other people's money to buy and to get basically this giant, make it look like she's giving this giant grand gesture to the CEOs.
Yeah, I mean, if she wants to lavish the executives with gifts, that's her prerogative, but she needs to do it with her own money.
Yeah. What do you think of the executives actually accepting a gift like this?
I think that is not cool on their part because their employees make way less money than them. I think it's one thing if it's like homemade cookies or something.
Yeah.
Like there are ways to express gratitude that do not cost a lot of money. And so, you know, if your boss is really chill, like accepting a batch of cookies is one thing. Accepting a $300 gift is another thing.
Yeah, $300 gift basket is completely different, right? I think that this was in poor taste and that OP was very much justified in calling out this bad behavior. And maybe they could have gone behind her back and just organized their own gift basket thing. That way it would have been from everyone but her. So that way they would know that, oh, by the way, these gift baskets were never her idea or never her actual money.
Yeah, but I mean, they can just save their money and not spend it on lavishing the executives with gifts.
Yeah, I mean, that too, right? But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I a Jerk for Taking My Date to a High Crime Area to Prove a Point? This was a third date, and she's from an upper class family in another state. We were riding around the city, which is known for a very high crime rate, Memphis. I mentioned the fact that we have to be careful due to all the crime. She gave me the whole, oh, it's not their fault. Crime stats are BS. They're forced into these situations. They're just like everyone else, so on and so forth. So I decided to drive to an area that I know is kind of rough. It's in the evening and people are standing in the yards or in the streets and they yell at us as we drive through. We get followed by someone on a bike for a little bit, but nothing too scary yet. I ask her if she would exit my car and go and hang out with them because according to her, they're just normal people and not dangerous at all. She told me not to say another word and just take her back to the car. We rode back in silence and haven't spoken since. I'm not dumb enough to take her to the most dangerous spot in Memphis, but we went to a bad enough spot to be yelled at and followed around just for driving through. I think my point was made. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yes, OP, you are a major jerk. It's one thing to have differences of opinions on a sort of matter like this. It's another thing to traumatize the person you're driving around, your date, who you're supposed to care about.
I mean, this is a little bit of a difficult situation in the respect that she, was, trying to downplay the fact that they need to be careful in a certain area. But I think the way that he tried to prove this point and tried to win the argument was not very conducive towards the discussion at all, right? It just basically, like you said, terrorized her into submission, right?
Right. Well, and I think also there are points to her
Oh, of
argument
course,
in
yeah.
that, like, it's not like, people end up in bad situations for all kinds of reasons.
Yeah.
And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't exercise caution, but the thing is, there are plenty of people in like white collar positions in society who get away with all kinds of terrible things.
Oh, yeah.
The crimes we see, the most visible crimes tend to be by low income people, by people of color, because they are easy targets. And so, so many of the crimes like assaults are more likely to happen by people so it's just one of these things where, yeah, you have to be careful with people, but like, and I just feel like he completely blew this out of proportion and was so insistent on being right at the expense of his date's comfort and
Yeah.
well-being.
Well, and I mean, again, like I think that there could have been a discussion to have around this, and maybe like politics can always be a really difficult conversation to have, especially on a third date,
Yeah.
right? I mean, maybe politics aren't the best idea to like dive right into, right? But I mean, this is assuming that you're trying to have a relationship with this individual. If you don't agree with their points of view and you think that, they're full of themselves or something like that, maybe it's not the relationship for you. But don't put their lives at risk just to win an argument type of thing, right?
Like the thing is, if he didn't like what she had to say, he could have just ended the date there and driven her off and said, "I don't think we're compatible." And
Yeah.
driven her back to her car. It seems like he just can't handle the idea that she might be perceived as wrong.
Yeah.
And it also like depends on who you are. Like if are driving around an unfamiliar neighborhood, the people might be scared of what they're going to do in their neighborhood or what they're there for.
Yeah. It could be that they're more afraid of OP in his car and whatnot and what they're going to do than the other way around.
Like if you're poor and you try going into a gated community, people are probably going to chase you out. They're going to have the police on you. They're not going to be very nice and welcoming.
No.
They might even, there are all kinds of bad altercations you could get into. And so I think there's this false dichotomy that rich places are safe, poor places are inherently uninhabitable. And it's not really one or the other. There are rough situations that happen in both places, just one is a lot more visible and a lot more talked about.
Yeah. But it's a difficult situation. I think that OP, really approached this wrong if they were looking to have a relationship with this individual.
Well, yeah, I think that any relationship they were going to have is completely over.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, The guy, 22-year-old male, that I, a 21-year-old female, am dating is learning ASL for my brother, but my friends think that it's creepy. How do I proceed with this? Throwaway because my regular account has some personal info. Also, fake names are being used. I'm a 21-year-old female and I met John, a 22-year-old male, in a college class last semester. He's an overall great guy, he's very respectful and kind. He also has a great sense of humor, and we have a lot of similar interests. We've been friends since then, and we've started dating this July. He's the first person that I've ever dated in my life. Last September, he met my family when I visited my home for my brother's birthday. My brother Trev, a 19-year-old male, has been deaf since birth, so my whole family communicates with him either through sign language, Trev's lip reading, but we still sign as a reflex, or through text. During our small celebration at home, it was clear that my parents liked John. He was very charming, funny, and respectful. He even tried to connect with Trev by typing some of his jokes for Trev to read, although my brother could lip read just as well. Whenever John would tell a story, either I or my parents would sign for Trev. My parents said that they're happy that I found a sweet and caring guy in John. Of course, I'm glad to hear this. Before we went back, John and Trev had a quick Call of Duty gaming session. For someone with Trev's condition, he is a really talkative guy. He's very expressive and likes to communicate a lot, especially when gaming. Of course, he couldn't outright talk trash, but he does the closest thing that he could with his hands. So there they were in Trev's room with John and Trev playing while I was translating for them. I was laughing way too hard because Trev was trying his best to trash talk John, like saying that he's weak and trying to say all these expletives, but I'm trying my best to tone it down for John. Meanwhile, I'm also translating John's instructions for and strategies for Trev. But also, because this was the first time that John met my family, he was saying all these praises to Trev, like, good job, or we can do better next time, although I know deep inside he wants to trash talk my brother. The two of them got along pretty well, and they've been having some online gaming sessions since then. 2 weeks ago, John visited home along with me for my mom's birthday. There, he surprised everyone, including me, by communicating with Trev through ASL. John was still in the alphabet stage, some basic words, and some rehearsed phrases, but we were all delighted that he even made the effort. Trev's face lit up, and I've never seen him happier having a new long-term friend with low communication barriers. Apparently, John had been watching some YouTube tutorials and got a free subscription to Skillshare to learn ASL. The two of them had a gaming session again, and this time John and Trev could communicate more directly. Of course, it was kind of slow, and I still had to do some translating. Imagine trying to baby talk to a grown man, or talking like a caveman with choppy sentences. But I could tell Trev was having a great time. They also got a lot more comfortable with each other with more explicit trash talking, which I didn't tone down this time. John has been religiously learning ASL since then, and he's making a lot of practice. I was so happy with this, so I told my close friend from a group from high school. However, most of my friends, especially my closest guy friend, told me that what John was doing was a huge red flag because it could be a form of obsession and emotional manipulation. He also said that it was creepy because John's becoming too attached to my family when we've only been dating for about 5 months. He also said that John might only be doing it so that he could get laid or something like that. I know that there's some validity to what my friends are saying, but I'm not really convinced. John has been a wonderful and sincere guy the entire time. And I know that it's naive to say this because he's my first ever relationship, but I can see this becoming a long-term thing. Yes, we haven't hooked up yet because I told him that I wasn't ready yet, and he's never pressured me to do it. However, is his behavior something that I should really be concerned about? Again, I don't have any experience with dating and relationships, so I don't know if this is something that's truly concerning. My friends are pushing for me to break up with John, but I'm not sure how to proceed with this. Edit, wait, wow, I took a break to work on some paper and there are almost 1,000 comments. I'll try to process everything, but thank you for your kind words, Reddit. Yes, John is a wonderful guy, and has so far given me no reasons to doubt his sincerity. It's only my friends who planted the seeds in my mind, since they're all in relationships except two of them. So the pressure kind of got to me. Thank you all for your insights. All right, folks, what do you think?
Yeah, no, this is major green flag behavior. Honestly, I would be concerned about the friends and whether some of them have ulterior motives or either jealous or maybe best guy friend is wanting to get with OP.
I'm colorblind, so I only see red flags. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not really colorblind, but I agree. I think their motivations for telling OP this are a little peculiar, maybe a red flag of their own.
Like, it seems like he formed a bond with OP's brother. You know, they're gaming together and he wants to be able to better communicate with his friend. That's awesome. I don't see anything wrong with that.
Yeah, I mean, he chose to learn ASL. He's been being a friend to this individual since they've met, right? I mean, they've been doing online gaming together. So it's not like this is no communication at all, and he's like, doing this as some kind of form of emotional manipulation. He's learning how to communicate with his friend, right?
Yeah. And like, even if there wasn't that angle, like, I don't think there's anything manipulative about wanting to learn a different language so you can better communicate with people.
Yeah.
The friends have a really, really strange perspective on what constitutes manipulation. And so, yeah, I don't see any red flags from John from this post. I do see some major red flags from the friend group, and I would recommend finding some friends who actually have your best interests at heart.
Yeah. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here, and Amber, she has a joke.
This is a sad one. I've heard that balloons are really afraid of music, especially pop.
Ha ha! I like it. I like it a lot. And I have Earl Grey. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy Friday Junior, folks.
Happy Friday, Junior.
Thanks so much for Amber for joining me today.
Thank you for having me.
Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance, and please have it in the form of something to say to not have a fourth date.
Oh, you said something that I don't agree with? Well, here, let me terrorize you.
Yes, that's a great way. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.